But I put that fight in other place right now. I think Crawford is a little better than Mayweather, but Canelo have more experience right now. No, and I think
it's really that.
Floyd Mayweather has now responded to Canelo Alvarez's comments that Terence Crawford is a better fighter than him by firing shots at Canelo. In an interview where he was asked to predict the fight between Canelo and Crawford, Mayweather was informed of Canelo's comments and the boxing legend said, "Did he really say that? That guy's a joker. I don't rate that idiot. He gave me one of the easiest fights in my career."
Question for
Canelo. The last fighters that you fought, they ain't on my level. And
I fought everybody.
The last fighters you fought since 2002.
Mention me one. You
Since
mention me
2002.
one elite fighter. Just one.
You.
Oh, me.
Look,
It's gonna be me.
I don't
And
care
you
about
will-
nobody else.
And you will see that.
You. So when I beat you, is you gonna be a nobody? When I stuff a mud hole in your, is you gonna be a nobody? You're gonna be just like everybody.
And boxing fans quickly agreed with Mayweather in the comments section. However, when Mayweather was to predict the fight, he had no doubts that Terence Crawford would win. Crawford has everything it takes to beat Canelo, and he will. Remember, I bet on Bivol against him. I'm doing that on Crawford too. I'm definitely making money.
But I know how you is. You be sizing up, bro. Keep it a stack. Did you in your head size up Floyd? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we was ever keep it real, boss. Keep it real.
I'm never that type of guy. I think that's some grimy. Always been happy for him, been a fan of his, and I never imagined us fighting.
Yeah.
I never looked at him like.
Canelo never takes his losses with pride, and I hope Crawford gives the fool one more loss, a fan wrote. Another added, Canelo thinks he's smart. He is disrespecting Floyd. When he beats Crawford, he'd claim that he defeated a better fighter than Floyd. A third commented, Canelo is about to get his head whooped one more time. Watch Floyd go to tell Crawford how to mess this guy up. Canelo Alvarez found out firsthand why Floyd Mayweather Jr. is considered an all-time great and the best fighter of his generation when they squared off in 2013.
People look at this fight and compare it to Mayweather fight. You think Mayweather is like Canelo? Or Mayweather is like Crawford? Or may you the same game plan?
I don't know. I don't really know. But
Alvarez was 23 at the time, Mayweather was 36. Mayweather comfortably outclassed him and won a decision against the still green Mexican upstart. Fast forward a dozen years and the super middleweight King Alvarez has a September 13th fight scheduled against Terence Crawford, a 4-division champion who's taken the torch from Mayweather and etched his legacy as a consensus pound-for-pound great. I think Crawford is a little better than Mayweather, Alvarez told Fight Hype, but this Canelo has more experience right now. I think it's a totally different fight. I don't want to compare this fight with others. This fight is one of the best fights in boxing history, and that's it.
I think it's totally other fight. I don't want to compare this fight with other fights. I think this fight is one of the best fights in the boxing history, and that's it.
Bookmakers see the battle between future first-ballot Hall of Famers as a close encounter despite the smaller-framed Crawford moving up 2 divisions. DraftKings lists Alvarez as a betting favorite and Crawford as a betting underdog. I'm here because of my talent, skills, and discipline, said Alvarez. I don't care what the people say about my boxing IQ. If you look at my resume, I did everything and fought everybody. I accomplished everything in boxing, so my legacy is already there. Recently, in an interview, Floyd Mayweather brought back memories of his famous fight against Canelo Alvarez at the super welterweight division.
Feels that way about itself. Every fighter that's gave the sport of boxing their whole life and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle, they should feel that way. So if he feel that way, more power to him. I had one fight, and the fight wasn't actually at a catch weight. It was at a catch weight, but it was
I have one fight, and the fight was at a catch weight, But it wasn't my idea. Anyone can go online and pull this up. It was an article, so with Canelo. At one time, I believe Canelo thought I was scared of him, that I was afraid. So he said, Floyd doesn't want to fight me. I'm willing to meet him at 152 or 152.5 pounds. And me? I called his bluff and said, if you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152.5. But after Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like it was a certain clause where he couldn't gain weight. He weighed 152 or 152.5. I think he came in at 168 or close to 170, but I came in at 151 or 152.
And it really, the fight wasn't actually at a catch weight. It was at a catch weight, but it wasn't my idea. So at one particular time, you guys can, anybody, you can go online and pull this up. It was an article. So with Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was scared of him, that I was afraid.
Perhaps Terence Crawford felt this was good enough for him as well, since he had so much to learn about the new weight class he'll be moving to in less than a month. Despite the fact that boxing fans have severally drawn comparisons between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Terence Crawford, Bud refused to deprive the 50-0 boxing champion of his rightful honors. Terence Crawford appreciates Floyd Mayweather, and when he was asked about their similarities, he had a few more things to say as well. He's the king, Crawford praised and acknowledged Floyd's greatness. He then continued, "We have quite a lot in common in some aspects, but we're a little different because I take more chances. Earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances in his career as well. It just depends on which Floyd Mayweather you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about money or you're talking about Pretty Boy, because Pretty Boy was the seeking destroyer. Then he started having hand injuries, so he couldn't really keep up with the same power, and he was moving up and fighting bigger.
I take more chances.
Excuse me, Crawford.
Right now. But earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. So, it just depends on which Floyd Mayweather you talk about. You talk about money or do you talk about Pretty Boy? Because Pretty Boy was the seek and destroy fighter.
You're more like Pretty Boy.
Once again, retired.
Floyd, what do you think of Canelo's performance against Billy Joe Saunders?
I didn't even see it. What do you fight on the app? He said he fight on the app now, right?
Yeah.
Well, the real fighters fight on Showtime.
The more his legacy grows, the more yours grows. Would you agree with that?
Mayweather fought Canelo in a World Boxing Council and World Boxing Association light middleweight title showdown in September 2013. It was the 45th contest of the American's glittering career, coming up against the young Mexican who was facing his toughest challenge to date. It was seen as a tough test for Mayweather heading in, but it turned out to be a one-sided affair, as the American claimed the victory on points, even if the scorecards had it much closer than most boxing fans.
It's really that.
The more his legacy grows, the more yours grows. Would you agree with that?
Canelo?
Right.
Oh, that's the easy one.
We're going to try and get
A lot of times guys be like, well, I'm bigger. I got a longer reach. I'm a better fighter. I got a strategy.
Money dominated the fight throughout, using his skills and expertise to outclass Canelo over 12 rounds to claim a majority decision victory. Despite being the clear winner at the end of the contest, Judge C.J. Ross scored at 114, which baffled many of those in attendance, including Mayweather. Speaking to Fight Hype, the 47-year-old did not hold back when talking about Canelo's boxing ability, initially summing up in 3 words how the fight went. He was nothing. Mayweather then explained further what he thinks of the Mexican's ability. You can take a guy like Canelo. I'll tell the truth about Canelo. The idiot was easy. A cakewalk, easy. You're all praising this dude. He was nothing. I was almost 40 and I cooked this dude easily.
It's really that.
Mayweather retired just a few years later, but over a decade on, Canelo remains one of the biggest names in boxing, securing world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight, and even becoming undisputed in the 168-pound weight class. After tasting defeat for the first time against Mayweather, Canelo went on to win his next 15 fights, winning world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. In the process, he now looks set to take part in another huge boxing clash, with a clash against fellow pound-for-pound great Crawford, believed to be agreed for later in the year. Some observers believe the weight difference could be too much for Crawford, who would be jumping up from 154 pounds to 168 pounds for the fight, having only competed once in the super welterweight division.
Which fight was more difficult between Mayweather or Bivol, and why?
I think both are similar. Just Bivol is bigger, so I think Bivol.
Due to Canelo being a naturally much bigger man than Crawford, many feel that it could result in a big knockout win for the Mexican, similar to when he took on a much smaller opponent in Amir Khan, who had also moved up 2 divisions for the fight. With that in mind, Mayweather gave his verdict on what he thought of Canelo's power following their fight, after he was asked if it concerned him heading into the bout. Not at all! He then said in the ring it was nothing he hadn't felt before. It's nothing I have never felt before after being in the sport for over 20 years.
Canelo versus Skull? Canelo did what he had to do to get the victory.
What do you want next? It seems like that's going to be the fight. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terence Crawford out there, so that's why Terence Crawford want to take the opportunity to share a ring with another great.
How do you beat him?
Mayweather's comments may give Crawford confidence, especially with Canelo failing to stop his last 5 opponents. The 34-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico, currently holds the Unified World Boxing Council, World Boxing Association, and World Boxing Organization titles at 168 pounds, as he looks set to defend his crown against fellow pound-for-pound superstar Terence "Bud" Crawford later this year in what could be one of the biggest fights in the long history of boxing. Canelo's only other career defeat came in 2022, when he was beaten comprehensively by the former WBA light heavyweight champion Dimitri Bivol.
About the weight differences, what's your kind of response to that, Terence?
That's why we fight the fight. So September 12th, we all gonna see if the weight gonna make a difference or not.
Do you want to fight him twice and then retire? Is that kind of the ideal thing?
One fight at a time, one fight at a time.
What did you make of, I know you didn't say much on tonight, the effectiveness of William Skull? He came to go to decision as opposed to win the fight. Would you?
It has been almost 12 long years since Canelo Alvarez suffered his first career defeat against the mighty Floyd Mayweather Jr. Canelo was just 23 years of age when he was given the chance to take on boxing's P4P megastar. Quite simply, the money and the opportunity was too good to turn down. Almost predictably, given his relative lack of seasoning at the very highest level, Alvarez came up short in that mega match at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas back in September 2013.
Canelo's a hell of a fighter. There's a lot of great Mexican fighters. That's not for me to rate fighters. I just take my hat off to so many fighters that paved the way, for me to be where I'm at, just, throughout life.
While one of the judges scored the bout a draw, the other 2 gave it comfortably to Mayweather. Since then, Canelo has clearly thought often about that night and what might have been. It's clear he and many other keen observers believe the opportunity just came too soon for the Mexican great. Now Alvarez is boxing's PPV cash cow at the age of 34 and ready for more massive challenges after signing that landmark 4-fight deal with Turki Al-Sheikh and Riyadh Season. The first fight on that contract is a super middleweight title unification against Cuban William Skull in Riyadh on May 3rd.
Obviously, I try to beat him because, if you beat him, you want to be the best in the world at 23.
What do you think was so impressive about him?
His experience, he's so smart. He have everything in a fighter, a complete fighter. He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
What do you
I
think
think it's a tough fight.
But that is seen by many as just a tune-up for the big one. An absolute blockbuster against welterweight and super welterking king Terrence Bud Crawford. Canelo versus Crawford would see Bud moving up 2 more weights for the biggest fight of his career, and it is without doubt the biggest fight boxing could make right now. It's penciled in for September, assuming Alvarez takes care of business on May 3rd. The man from Guadalajara admitted in an interview with Mike Coppinger of Ring Magazine that he believes that night against Mayweather would have been very different right now. He believes he is a different Canelo, and a showdown with Crawford, who has a style similar to Floyd Jr., could go some way to proving that.
When you look at like Floyd, and some boxers look down on Floyd doing these exhibitions, saying it's not real, it's just a cash grab. What are your thoughts on that? Would that be something that you would do?
Look, he's retired. He can do whatever he wants, right? And I think I'm gonna miss boxing when I'm retired a lot, and maybe I can do one.
When Coppinger threw that theory out there, Alvarez responded, "To show people I'm different now, that I'm an experienced fighter today. I always think that I just needed more years before the fight with Mayweather. But things happen and I learned a lot. And I don't blame myself because I learned a lot. But yes, it's the opportunity to show what kind of a fighter I am right now."
Well, and then he just stopped doing what he was doing earlier. I don't know. I can't call it.
Do you think Canelo slipped as a fighter?
No, I don't. I just think that, William was doing a good job neutralizing Canelo power punches. He was just moving a lot.
Do you think that's a style you'd have to employ in points of the fight?
I don't know, because if you watch the styles that beat him, they didn't move a lot. They moved a little bit, but not as much.
I'm not even a fan of that fight. There are too many weight classes apart. And although the skills, Crawford is one of the best fighters that I've seen. Now, Canelo is, fighting at 168. Crawford just moved up to 154, and he had some trouble with that in that fight. Now, where do you plan on going? 164?
Crawford, celebrated for his versatility and technical prowess, is aiming to move up 2 weight classes to challenge the undisputed super middleweight champion, a daring leap that has divided opinions among boxing experts.
So in the future, it'll be a big fight if they do.
That's going to be a good one. If they do, I'll be there. You know what I mean? That's going to be a good one. Both of them great guys. They got great talent. And
one prominent voice weighing in is former heavyweight world champion Deontay Wilder. In a recent interview with ES News, Wilder shared his concerns about Crawford's significant weight jump. 147 to 168? That's way too much, Wilder stated. Although you can switch from southpaw to orthodox, when you're touching those guys that are heavier, it's a different feeling. It's like you're a baby. I'm not saying you can't knock anyone out or punish them, but I think it takes more time. Moving up in weight, the way punches are absorbed is entirely different than with smaller opponents. Since Wilder's remarks, Crawford has taken a step forward in closing the weight gap by capturing the World Boxing Association super welterweight title.
Both of them very determined, got that killer instinct, and in this sport, that's what you need. You gotta have a killer instinct. If you don't, you're gonna get knocked out.
However, even with this achievement, a daunting 14-pound difference remains between him and Canelo Alvarez, a disparity that could play a crucial role in the fight's outcome. Canelo, known for his relentless punching power and stamina, has established himself as a dominant force in the super middleweight division. Despite suffering 2 career defeats, both by decision, he has consistently showcased remarkable defense and resilience, solidifying his reputation as one of the toughest competitors in boxing. This matchup promises to deliver an electrifying spectacle, but it also represents a monumental challenge for Crawford.
Canelo ain't gonna come down, maybe 166 max if he accepts. I think Canelo wins that fight based on just the size, power and size. Now, skill-wise, I think Crawford's a better skilled fighter, but the difference in size will be the deciding factor, and that's why I'm not even a fan of that fight.
To succeed, the Omaha native must showcase extraordinary adaptability and resilience against an opponent of Canelo's caliber in a higher weight class. While Wilder's concerns about the weight disparity are valid, the allure of this fight is impossible to ignore. Pitting two of boxing's elite talents against each other, this clash of styles and raw power has fans eagerly awaiting what could be one of the sport's most captivating events. It's surprising that Canelo Alvarez would already have a guaranteed opponent for 2025, not for the May date, but for his second fight of the year, scheduled for September, on the weekend when the independence of Mexico is celebrated in Las Vegas.
Crawford as one of the top 5 fights that he wants to see this year. Is that a fight that you're considering now?
We'll see. We'll see. Everything is possible. We'll see. We want to talk about it, sit down really well and figure out something.
I know you thought he was kind of a...
Legendary boxing trainer turned analyst Teddy Atlas has offered his insight to Fight Hub TV into the potential mega fight between the two stars, stating that he would find it hard to go against the American southpaw. Very few people have the appetite or inclination for challenging themselves. Mr. Crawford does. I ain't never going against that guy. Father Time might catch him, but I don't know if a weight class can catch him.
Those kind of fights on that stage, at that level, to be ready, really ready for Canelo. He was still a few fights short. He still needed more season. Even though he had a lot of fights, he still needed more season. I see Berlanga in the...
It's a tremendous challenge because Canelo is a tremendous fighter, and bigger and stronger, and he can punch and time you. But just because you're smaller, Crawford will come up with a game plan that will make the other guy use his size. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, McIntyre gave a glowing reference to the undefeated Crawford, who is linked to facing Canelo in May or September. Crawford has all the tools to win a third-weight undisputed crown.
Okay, from 140, 147, now 154, that's even greater for him. He wants to do something, collect belts at 154, he can attempt that. But there's no money in that compared to the Canelo fight. And Canelo is trying to fight other guys, and at that point it's more of a big fight, for the money that's gonna generate. But as a fight,
any hardcore boxing fans know Crawford can beat Canelo. You have to know boxing to be able to say that, Bomac told Fight Hub, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.